fans, we just watched episode 11 for season 2 of Scream, and we're going to do a review proper in just a moment.
We're doing a double feature, but for now,
we are going to present you really quick with a rapid fire prediction thing based on the end of episode 11. So, the obvious prediction to make is that it's Eli and Lang.
I will definitely take Eli. I have a hard time believing that he would be a huge red herring when we're this far into it and we found those letters. I think the sheriff's in on it.
I mean,
I think the sheriff is in on it.
how great would that be?
Because we got a little snippet of the preview for next episode, which we're watching in like 5 minutes. And we saw them getting attacked in the back of a police car, which again, Scream 2 reference. But yeah, that, if the sheriff's in on it, that would be amazing. Well, I don't know how, I don't know why, but that would be great.
And here's the thing too, is like, with that video getting released, there's like, obviously it's meant to make them look like the murderers.
Yeah.
But if you're the murderer, there's absolutely no way you would upload that information. What? So, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be kicking myself because the quote-unquote obvious answer is Lang and Eli. You're thinking Eli and the sheriff?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. What are the odds of it being Gustavo? Any? Because
we very much left it open-ended. We don't know where he is right now. He ran away from home, so we'll see.
Yeah. And the thing is, and this is why I'm like kicking myself because of the obvious answer, with every Ghostface reveal, it's meant to be a surprise. Like Piper last season was very much meant to be a surprise. So if Ghostface unmasks himself and it's Eli, I'm like, well, yeah, that's not shocking in any way,
but
shape,
we're
or
working
form.
off the idea that there's 2.
We are. So
we'll see.
We'll see. So we're going to sit down and watch the final episode, and then we will give you guys this 2-part review proper in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Smash cut. So wrong.
We were way...
But that was the point of this. Doing the whole duct taping yourself thing. What
Brilliant.
a good way to throw
He
us
was
off.
Billy Loomis all along!
He was. He really was. And it's like, wow, this is really Scream 2 with the police car and with the is he not, is he?
Boyfriend killer.
Boyfriend killer. And it's like, oh, it was the boyfriend. Oh, this is real Scream 1.
What a wonderful twist! What a wonderful way of like cherry picking things from the original film franchise
And remixing them.
Remixing them, reordering them, reorienting them to give us this. And this is great.
Oh, this was amazing.
Now, I do have to ask, do you think this was the plan from the get-go, or do you think they took like a dartboard, put a bunch of characters' names, and went, okay, who's Piper's accomplice? Kieran! Kieran's her accomplice.
It's half and half. Like, I feel like they had some plan and they had like maybe half a dozen prospective people. Like, I feel like it was never going to be the sheriff and it was never going to be Daisy and it was never going to be like, I feel like there was
probably
a list of
never going to be Audrey too. Like for
Yeah.
all of the misdirect with that.
Never going to be Audrey, never going to be Emma. But I feel like we had a list of potentials and then when they were putting things together it was like, and that one.
I have to wonder when they pulled Amadeus Serafini aside to talk to him about this finale, like, did he know a couple episodes ahead of time, or was it only until they got this script that they like pulled him aside and went, like with Brett Dalton with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like he's sitting there thinking he's gonna die, and then all of a sudden, by the way, you're the killer. So Kieran's an asshole, aka new Billy Loomis Coke 2. I guess Billy 2.0, I guess we can call him.
I just can't even with that guy.
Like, so Emma has terrible taste in men.
Kind of, yeah.
Because, like, the first guy she dated was totally willing to go along with this blackmailing scheme. And the second one is a straight-up murderer who was banging her sister.
Admittedly, the second one kind of did the whole ingratiating himself thing. So, you know, you can't always tell.
I'm such a fool. Why didn't I see it?
So let's make we're doing 2 episodes. We should probably...
Yes. We already, I think I said hello, horror fans. Probably not. Hello, horror fans! Welcome to another episode of Silver Screams. Tonight we are talking about Scream episodes 11 and 12 of season 2.
Because there's a to be continued in there, and therefore it's a 2-parter and it's legit.
And we said, screw it, we need to see how this ends. We gave our little prediction at the beginning, and like I said, we were so wrong.
But I think that's the point of this.
Yeah, and that's why I felt so, like, even when we were saying it, I'm like, it feels wrong to say it's Eli and Lang because Scream is all about that surprise reveal. And so it feels wrong to say what feels right, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Like Scream 2, they pulled half of that surprise reveal out of her ass. I was Mrs. Loomis the whole time. Who the fuck?
What on earth would have indicated that at any point in the narrative?
So it's not supposed to be a detective movie where you can figure out what's going on.
Not always,
clues
anyway.
are there. It's just like, hey.
It's definitely meant to shock you there towards the end. And like, I don't think anything will ever recapture that moment, that moment, like that movie moment where Stu goes, "Surprise, Sydney." I don't think anything will ever recapture that. But like, this show does a pretty dang good job, and this show also is really good about throwing twists and turns at you. So yeah, this episode, this 2-parter, it becomes kind of like, you know, Noah is in mourning initially from, you know, losing Zoe and having a really close brush with death. And so Audrey and Emma become really determined, like more so than ever, to figure out who did this. And with Kieran's help, find evidence seemingly pinning everything on Eli, which Eli had the letters. Knowing what we know now, though, I thought it was kind of weird that he was FaceTiming with them while he's searching his own house.
It's not like they can help.
But it makes so much sense, like, knowing that he's the culprit. He knew exactly where to look because he planted it there.
And that he was probably very surprised by it. Put him back. We have to make sure that Eli's not onto us. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, he's totally going to get caught while he's in the process of putting them back. Kind of. I think we need to talk a little bit about Eli at this point, throwing it in the new light, because Eli's side of the story, and we'll never get the full story for any of this.
He's dead now.
As is Kieran. Eli's side.
Kieran's not. He's in jail.
Oh, that's right. He's in jail. I'm an idiot. It's been a long day, y'all.
Billy's dead.
Billy's dead.
He's been dead for 3 movies.
Dead for friends.
But you're right. Eli, who we've seen up until this point, is a complete and total creeper, and he is.
I mean, Eli definitely, the whole scene of him breaking into someone's house, like, no, he's still a creep. And it's still creepy to try to go after your cousin's girlfriend, even if your cousin has fucked you over more than once.
Well, and even if your cousin is a creep, like, you're being equally creepy.
You're not helping your case. So we have his side of the story is that I liked a girl, Kieran liked a girl. Kieran told her mom that I was posting nude pictures of her online. That's where the restraining order is from. He wants this, he wants you, he's obsessed with you, back and forth, and then, you know, Eli's a little dead now. Kieran shot him like 6 times.
But, like, I mean, what a good setup, too, though, because they're looking through old photos while they're taking down Noah's murder board, and they see Eli in the background photo of Will's funeral. And it's like, what? How? Why? No, this is not okay.
The series is sitting there going, we have to retroactively make this guy a suspect. Because more than one person has cottoned on to the fact that he couldn't have been the original accomplice if he wasn't there.
But again,
so what if he was there?
What a great way to sort of integrate that. And also there are still a lot of things left hanging. You know, by the time we get to the end of things, and we'll get to that.
Well, and Eli was also trying to watch out for his mom and broke into the mayor's office to see what he could see, got a whole bunch of documents. Evidently the mayor's been doing like tax fraud and insurance scams and
apparently like muscling people out of their money, or basically just general extortion.
It's been bad.
Which makes sense, given what we've seen from the last 2 seasons.
And also paying mom to do something. We don't know. We
assume burning down the development home, but again, that's nothing that's confirmed by the time we get to the end of the season. It's very much implied.
He is paying them to get out of town, and so mom's ready to go, and Eli goes, no, I have things here. We're not leaving till I say so.
Which, if you look at it from his perspective, he probably suspects his cousin of being the killer, which, again, puts the framework for him being really creepy and trying to steal Kieran's girlfriend. Like, in his mind, he's probably being a white knight, that sort of thing. Gonna save the girl from my evil cousin. Which, again, not
Maybe
great.
you should communicate instead.
Not great. But he's also probably, something that they never really convey, is that he's probably afraid of Kieran. Like,
Possibly,
again,
yeah.
Kieran just fucking retaliated in broad daylight, punched him, multiple times in the face. No one did anything.
That was also after Eli baited him.
That's
So
very
it's like,
true.
that was not a smart move.
But
there's this weird balance with Eli, because on one hand, dude, you are really super creepy, and on the other hand, holy cow, if any of your story is true, that's actually extremely sad. So it's, on one hand, it's like, you should not be baiting him anyway, especially if you suspect him, and especially if you think he's a terrible person. Like, don't do that. Being in public doesn't always protect you. And on the other hand, it's like, you are such a creep.
Well, and you get the feeling, too, that this isn't the whole story, not only with Eli or Kieran, but also Eli's mom. We already talked about the possibility that she was the arsonist, but there's also the possibility that they had other stuff going on, because it sounds from their conversation like other things were kind of in the works, or that they had a completely ulterior agenda for being there. Yeah. Granted, the whole reason they were there was to get money by being Kieran's caretakers.
And Eli convinced his mom to move there as opposed to moving Kieran up to their 1-bedroom...
Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like they had kind of more shady things going on, which makes sense if they were in dire straits in their original town.
Probably, yeah.
So,
doesn't sound like mom makes very good decisions, and from what we've seen of her on camera, there's really nothing to argue against that.
No, there's not. And so that's still a big question mark that we leave at the end of the season. And kind of another kind of loose end is Lang, the opportunist. Because she's writing.
We were there only for a few months. I didn't know Piper very well at all. A lot of people went in and out of that home.
And sure, we probably played together as children, but if we did, I certainly don't remember it.
And then just the whole thing about, one person can affect the other. I don't remember what
the madness of two is what she called it, in terms of creating a shared psychosis where one person draws another person into their delusions, and it creates an even stronger delusion, aka like having a YouTube channel with your friends.
I was going to say, the entire reason I'm doing silver screens.
That. Welcome to my shared psychosis, everyone. So, again, it's one of those things where it's still left ambiguous by the time we get to the end of things, because she seemingly is cleared as a suspect, at least in this round of killings, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't friends with Piper. It doesn't mean that she's not going to continue her crusade to vilify Emma Duval and her friends, because she certainly took the first opportunity she could basically tell the sheriff, yeah, these two girls, they might not even be aware of all the wrongdoings that they're doing.
And we saw her drafting that last little bit.
A Tale of Two Sisters. That sounds awfully shady, doesn't it? And she just looked,
but I mean,
just
if it's
punched
about
to be
Emma
starting
and Piper.
I mean, yeah,
That's
so
probably what
but
she
it's
meant, but
it's
still just
so
like,
it's left ambiguous. But we know where her bias lies, and we know what she thinks of Emma.
And we also know that she has no morals.
Yeah, and whether or not that's colored by the fact that she and Piper were friends, or that part of her life really is just an innocuous, bit that she'd rather forget. We don't know. That's something that's left up in the air.
I'm just really surprised that no one has arrested her, because the sheriff is fully aware that she's been recording these students without their consent. I don't know what year they are in high school or how old any of them are, but if you're recording a minor for use of this without consent,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's some form of illegal, because if they're minors, they might have to have parental consent for something like this.
No, that sounds like,
sure
if it's not illegal, it sounds like it should be.
If it's not illegal, it's definitely immoral.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
But
if any of them are minors, if any of them are under 18, it's illegal.
And especially being in a place of, like, authority as a teacher.
I work at a school. We have a media release form that parents have to sign. It's basically, if you don't do anything with it, we'll assume that you're okay with your student being in, like, publicity shots if he's at a football game and doing whatever.
And she referred to it as an informal case study. There's no such thing! There's not!
It's called a book. But yeah, point being, at a high school, they're minors. You need parental consent. And she doesn't have consent from anyone.
No, and if you're doing a case study, I don't care if you want to call it informal or not. If you're doing an informal anything, then, call it an investigation, whatever. It's amateur sleuthing. If you want to even informally call it a case study, that requires a board of review and being their teacher. She's not even involved at a university. She works at a high school. Like, being their teacher, that is an immediate conflict of interest. You are not an unbiased party.
Well, and I mean, the second that it comes out that she has been recording students without consent for use in an expose,
for personal use, absolutely.
Yeah, 100% fired. Like, there's no way that you are safe around students. It's a very different flavor of not safe around students. She's not Mr. Branson, but it's not okay.
School has terrible teachers. I know we've said that before.
This town has terrible everything.
Well, and that's another thing.
At least they no longer have a terrible mayor.
Ooh.
They no longer have a mayor.
Ooh, we'll get to Brooke in a second.
So bad for Brooke.
We'll get to Brooke in a second.
God.
But you brought up Mr. Branston, and I'm glad you did, because another kind of loose end is, what the hell was Kieran planning with Mr. Branson, if that's the case? Are we sure
that was Kieran Ghostface?
And that's another thing, is this Ghostface working independently of another Ghostface that was running things concurrently at the same time? Or was this all something that Kieran had elaborately staged, and then sure enough, the janitor walking in completely ruined whatever it is he had planned? What did he have planned?
I do think.
And how did the fire, which was probably caused by his aunt, interrupt his further plans? I have so many questions about you, Kieran, and I'm really glad you're alive to answer them in the future.
I am just super amused by that last 30 seconds of this season. Oh my god, the noises I made were not human. Like, here's your phone call, and then him struggling to pick it up because he's handcuffed to his waist like a murderer should be.
Because he's a monster.
Like a serial murderer.
Because he's a monster.
And just, it's the Ghostface voice. Hello, Kieran. Who said you could wear my mask? Ah! So,
Brava!
I think the theory about two ghost faces working completely independently of one another was probably spot on.
Yeah.
Because one of them is Brandon James focused, as is evinced by the stay away from her note with a blood smear and a knife back in the tree. And, all of the Brandon James stuff that has been going on.
Yeah.
And one of them is Kieran.
Yeah, all of the Brandon James stuff that we've been talking about since the season premiere and they found the creepy pig shed has completely been left dangling.
The one thing that comes to mind for me for the crossover is we had a ghost face in the house, took Emma's dream journal, left a locket with her name on it. The dream journal wound up in the pig shed, but was also used in the video, which we assume the video is Kieran's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we also assume that he was not the one at the farm because he had a house. So
there's a big question mark as to how much was Kieran's doing versus how much was this other ghost face. And again, knowing that it's Kieran, it explains completely about Meyer's attitude towards Emma. Like 100% Emma and Audrey. Because Kieran was the one manipulating her. And, you know, obviously they were engaged romantically. He was manipulating her romantically. But yeah, what a great, like, it makes so much sense now why anytime she looked at Emma or Audrey, it was just, ugh, they're freaks, or ugh, I hate them. She had such an attitude, and it makes so much sense if she knows Kieran and Emma are dating, and she's the girl on the side.
That's a very good point.
It makes so much sense why she just hates them so much.
Wow.
Oh, and she got killed for her trouble. Ooh. And I'm sure he told her, don't worry, baby, I really love you.
I'm kind of sad that she's dead because she was just kind of interesting to have around.
She
Especially
was.
her introduction of the, it's just a prank, it's just a prank.
I'm sure he was the one that convinced her it would be hilarious.
Maybe. Who even
100%. Because his whole ploy was wanting to torture Audrey as well.
Yeah.
For taking away his sweet Piper. Ugh. How much older is Piper than you? Because, ew.
Like a decade? I don't know.
Oh, no, he was a minor. No. Bad
I
Piper.
really should see someone about this. But Piper taught me that killing people is just so much more fun.
We'll have to talk about that in a minute because becoming a ghost face on screen is a magical thing.
It's a lesson in scenery.
Oh, it's so great. But we were talking about the Brandon James stuff.
Yeah.
And so we bring up the sheriff and Daisy. And the sheriff is put into this really interesting predicament because he is very much a biased party, and he is given, because of the video being released when Noah tried to upload his tribute episode, somehow, and Kieran must be a freaking whiz with technology. Like, a lot of the,
It's so weird.
a lot of the personal insight stuff I totally get because he was there for most of those conversations. It makes sense. But, like, the technological aspect of it, nothing about Kieran has ever indicated that he is just super smart with technology, which I guess is part of the point of trying to, like, throw us for a loop.
Oh my god, the depiction of the viruses.
Skull and crossbones.
Viruses never show up with skull and crossbones. They never do. And what I love was that it also had a Freddy Fazbear laugh. That And then the virus, it's like, okay, one, you need to encode that sound file into this virus as though it's something that's going to be... What? Why? And boy, that's not going to draw attention at all. It's like...
How do you even do that?
Depiction of viruses as skull and crossbones, glitch the screen, laughing things.
We have to hack the mainframe, Katie.
Hacker voice, I'm in. It's still that
Lord.
sort of, and it's like, you know, honestly, for me, it would have been much more creepy had it just been switching to something that said alternate file uploading and Noah going, what is going on, as opposed to skull and crossbones, flickering screen. And the Freddy Fazbear laugh was what got me. That particular sound clip was just like, he's in the room and you can't close the doors anymore. You're fucked.
Nope, you were so
It's only a
screwed.
matter of time. Check the security cameras again. That'll be great.
Although,
sorry, that's yep.
Poor Noah.
Freddy Fazbear laugh.
Poor Noah,
Poor
because he had just gotten back his result. And again, great dramatic timing.
Was Kieran helping pack the stuff?
Yes. He did help pack the stuff, but they were all done packing by the time Noah actually got around to uploading.
Yeah, but he might have had something that could have been stuck in the computer, a USB.
I don't know. It's magic. It's magic as far as I'm concerned.
It made the computer do a Freddy Fazbear laugh.
We talked about this last season. They do a lot of hand wavy stuff with what the technology in this show is actually capable of. And I have no doubt that somebody couldn't remotely have an alternate file like ready and triggered to upload once another thing uploaded. I have no doubt about that. But at the same time, it's just like, how? But anyway, that's not my point. My point in bringing this up is that the sheriff is put in an interesting predicament because there is all this evidence that even he can tell isn't evidence, but it's something that's forcing his hand. Especially catching the girls red-handed. Literally red-handed, covered in blood. Because they're like, okay, we got some of this stuff here, but you know what? I bet there's a ton back at the pig farm. Let's go back there. Don't tell anyone where we're going. And it makes so much sense about earlier in the season, Kieran going to the sheriff saying he's worried about Emma. And then in this episode, like... Kieran being the one to tell the sheriff that they're on their way to the pig farm. Because he's worried, and nobody's answering and just phones. Randomly showing up at said pig farm just as his lady love is getting carted away. No, I'm playing the forlorn boyfriend, and I'm really good at it. And then seeing all of the documents of corruption from the mayor that Eli had stolen, and that's probably killing the mayor was an impromptu thing, like. Well, you weren't on my list, but now I know that I can yank you around, and I need another victim to make this convincing, so, Well, and if his aunt actually did burn down the building, it could be that once Kieran saw that, he's like, oh, okay, I have something on my aunt now. So, that could have been, like, integral to something, again, further on down the line, in terms of him like having incriminating evidence on his aunt at his fingertips and using that to be able to manipulate her later on down the road as his caregiver, that sort of thing. But yeah, the sheriff is, he is definitely a hypocrite because I agree he didn't really have much choice catching them red-handed, but like at the same time she's like, talking to Daisy, and she's like, my daughter didn't do this, and he's like, I know it's difficult to suspect your child, and she's like, I don't, you do. And he is such a hypocrite because he did so much to try to avoid facing the fact that his son was a suspect. Could have been. Exactly. And I mean, it's extremely, and I feel like that's the one purpose that Lang served, was telling him, he saw one of your case files. He saw a crime scene photo. He doesn't talk about this stuff. He draws it out. He's trying to be closer to you. He's trying to understand what you go through on a day-to-day basis. And so it kind of makes sense that his reaction to his friend getting killed was drawing it. Because if that's how he deals with things, honestly, he's terrible at like communicating his feelings to multiple people. Yeah. But I feel like that's the best thing Lang's done in the series, objectively. Is clarify that Gustavo is, he's definitely got issues, but that he's not violent. He draws these violent things as a way to process this trauma that he's gone through. And showing that there are alternate coping mechanisms. Yeah. Not everyone processes things the same way. Not everyone reacts the same way. And not everyone communicates the same way. And that's the big kind of issue for Gustavo, especially when he gets lured into the movie theater, and everything like that. And because Brooke texted him. Well, and I have to say, probably the sweetest moment, and you pointed that this was actually kind of sweet out. I was like, if they changed up the music, it still could have been creepy. But like it was a sweet moment when Noah's still in the hospital and it's very evocative of him thinking like a picture is 1,000 words, because he's just like, check your email, and then walks away. It's like, that could have been really bad. That could have been really bad. But instead, it, helps inspire Noah to continue doing this thing that he loves.
And it's this comic spread of, like, you've got the splash page and then the little panels on the side. And the 4 little panels are of him, like, podcasting and talking to people and doing what he loves. And the splash page is him fighting Ghostface. And it's just like, this is incredible.
And it's just
That's
like,
pretty cool. That is some damn
Aww.
good line art.
Aww, you can continue the fight by doing what you do.
I want to know who they hired to do the art for this.
Yes, whoever they hired to do Gustavo's artwork, spot
Damn
on.
good.
I mean, and this is something that you could say since the beginning of the season. Spot on,
Very
really
good.
good work. I mean, disturbing without context, but really good. And, so the mayor's gone. All the stuff with Brandon, James, and Daisy and the sheriff. And so it's very much inferred by the end of this that Brandon James is still alive, or somebody who's ticked off about him having been run out of town is back in town.
Well, and here's a plot thread that we didn't see resolve. Eli witnessed the note going into the tree. Eli is now dead.
Yeah.
A lot of answers died with him.
That's true. So, and again, because he was the only one, as far as we know, who saw the note go into the tree, the only other person conceivably that would have checked it is either somebody Eli told or Brandon James himself.
I was going to say, he could have been in contact with anyone. We don't know.
Yeah.
He has things here.
Yeah, he had,
It might be more
he had
than Emma.
schemes. He was a schemer. So he very well could have told literally anyone about said note. And again, kind of keeping Brandon James as like this omnipresent thing that may or may not come back, who may or may not be alive. Like, it keeps him a perpetual suspect, and it casts a shadow over literally everything that happens
Over
in
the
this
entire
town.
freaking town.
Yeah, and again, this is a kid who, again, allegedly did a terrible thing, but that we have no proof. And Tom Everett Scott never came back. It is, again,
That's true.
It is entirely possible that Brandon James did not commit any of those crimes. And that,
Tom Everett Scott is the third ghost face.
I don't know,
Could
maybe.
you see?
He's got some anger issues.
He's got some anger issues.
He's got some serious anger issues.
Everything's just crazy, because, we're working under the assumption at this point that there were 2 active ghost faces at the same time, not with the same goal. Not necessarily working at cross purposes, but definitely working independently of one another. And that line at the end of the season was kind of what clinched it. Mm-hmm. Like, who told you could wear my mask?
And here we were thinking that they weren't going to have enough plot for multiple seasons.
They're not going to have enough people for multiple seasons. By the way, this asshole's been here all the time. Oh, I've been promoted from extra to ascended extra. What episode do I die in?
I'm just saying that for a series we initially wrote off, like, in a drunken state as saying, this isn't Scream. I don't know what the deal is with this show.
The thing is, it's not Scream. It's doing its own thing.
Which is, again, the best thing that it could do, while, again, cherry-picking very good and compelling aspects of Scream and retooling them to make it work in their narrative to keep stupid superfans like us on our toes. And I love it.
So, Aubrey and Emma get arrested. Because that's a thing that occurs.
So yeah, a good portion of this 2-parter is them being on the run together.
Going into a gas station, the gas station attendant gets a phone call.
I was gonna say, do we want to talk about the car scene first? Like straight out of Scream 2? If Ghostface had been more accommodating, if Ghostface had been more accommodating in Scream 2. Although if I were that cop, I would have just hit that guy. I would have been like, whoops, my mistake.
But if you just see something in the middle of the road, you don't know if it's the murderer, or if it's someone in a raincoat, or if it's just some asshole with bad timing. Like,
yeah, exactly. Or if it's just a kid pulling a prank. It's always a kid pulling a prank.
So yeah, we're very lucky that Audrey and Emma didn't just die in that back seat there, because they weren't buckled in. They had their hands behind. They might have been waist belts, but they still should have taken a header into the grate.
Ow.
Always
Oof,
wear
just
your
ow.
seat belts, waist and shoulder.
And the front of that
Keeps you
car
from
was
dying.
real messed up.
Wrapped
Like
around a tree.
Whiplash at the very least.
And
Maybe
I feel so bad for that cop. He was just doing his job.
just doing his job. Should have been paying closer attention to the road. But yeah, so and Kieran was taking a huge risk, just stepping out into the middle of the road like that, making the assumption that
He won't hit me. Son of a bitch.
I'm the antagonist. I'm not supposed to die yet.
There were a few things here that were motivated by plot armor.
Yeah.
But
Like Ghostface being impervious to injury until the final
Oh my god,
reel.
I was so pissed off. Emma had 2 different chances to shoot him, and it's like, this is a very short range, and you're telling me that even through it's a short range, and at that range, he's not a small target.
Again,
So you're telling me that all of those shots missed? Are you kidding?
It was very dark. She's not trained with firearms.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's a big target in a small area. I'm kind of pissed off that there was no stumbling, that there was no impact, that there was no nothing. It was just like, you missed all of those. All right, we get a second round. You missed all of those too. Like, this isn't Duck Hunt.
Well, you were doing a lot better job at hitting this guy when he was a reflection in a funhouse mirror.
So I'm just ticked that was like, she's incompetent with a gun. And I'm like, 3-year-olds manage to use guns that they find on the ground. I mean, this is... It's the
I wouldn't bring that up, but...
It's an issue. It's a massive issue.
But so again, that's a problem for sure. But and like initially I was like, oh no, now Ghostface like took their gun away, their only defense, but he left it for them. I'm like, you're making a lot of assumptions, Kieran, about like how well this is gonna work out for you further on down the road.
Well, again, also which turned into Emma not being able to hit him. It's just kind of,
Huh.
did you put blanks in that gun? Or,
I don't know.
No, obviously
what
not,
were you-
because he shot the shit out of Eli with it.
He did.
So
right? Oh my god.
There were some assumptions made in these 2 episodes that were
On the part of our
irksome at best.
On the part of our Ghostface, who up until now has been a manipulative mastermind.
Has been close to perfect.
Has been really close to perfect, which again, it completely makes sense because who is the one person that Emma confides in the most?
Kieran.
It's Kieran. She's gonna have some serious trust issues after this.
Just the whole thing about you'll never feel safe again. I'm like, well,
You will feel
You're
safe
not
again.
wrong. But even just pointing out that you'll never feel safe again, you're not wrong.
No.
You're not wrong. Anyone around you could turn out to be... Sydney turned out well-adjusted. Sydney's not Emma.
No.
Very different.
And even Sydney, if we want to include the third movie that doesn't exist, you know, she had a lot of issues in the third movie because it was a different writer, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. But, it's fine. It's fine.
This is fine. Everything's fine. I'm
Everything's
perfectly okay with the events around me as they unfold.
But yeah, I mean, the plus side of all of this is that Audrey and Emma's relationship has been repaired.
Trial by
Again,
fire.
assuming that Audrey's been honest about everything. I mean, they kind of hinted when Emma said, "Are you sure there's nothing else you haven't told me?" And Audrey's like, "Yes, you know the whole embarrassing story." I'm like, I don't know. You're kind of a liar. Like
Honestly,
a massive liar.
I'm willing to go with it because that was the point where they couldn't milk any more drama out of
Yeah,
that
I'm tired
story.
of that being a plot line. I mean, it was a great plot
Oh,
line.
yeah.
But now that we're done with season 2, I'm ready to move on. Because I don't know if we're getting a season 3, but we are definitely getting a Halloween special in October. So thank you guys to people in the comments who mentioned that as we were
Should be
getting
fun.
caught up. I'm so excited.
And now we're caught up. Just in time for Scream Queens to start this week.
Yes! Yes! So happy. We are in a good place right now. But yeah, I guess...
Barely pulled it out.
I guess we have some time to talk about Brooke, really quick.
I feel so bad for her. I think Mom is still somewhere. Boyfriend's dead.
There was a hot second, and it was when she and Noah were talking, and he was like, oh, but that's exactly what the killer would say.
We're kind of at the unmasking bit.
Yeah. When we were having this conversation, for a moment, I'm like, this is the point in the series where, because we're getting close to Endgame, they still want to make us believe that anyone could be the killer, including Brooke and Noah. And I'm like, what a great twist it would be if it was Brooke, because she seemingly lost the most in this scenario, losing Jake and her father.
It couldn't be Noah.
It couldn't be Noah.
From what we saw.
No, but like,
it's just like,
but Brooke was like, I was like, ooh, like, what if, like, she was the one that planned to kill Jake?
Then at that point we get the, I came because you sent me a text. I didn't send that.
And so for a hot second, I was like, I don't think it's Brooke, but I like that the show played with the idea that it was her and planted that seed of maybe it is somebody in that initial circle.
And I will say, good on them for not letting Gustavo in.
Yeah.
Just because
that was a terrible idea.
You don't know, he's an outlier, and it absolutely sucks for him, but it might have kept him from getting killed.
It might have kept him from getting killed and or getting arrested as, like, the person they pinned all of this on, or, like, Kieran. Because from the look of it, the whole purpose of having both him and Eli they were both really loud, obnoxious red herrings throughout this entire season, and they're both kind of assholes. Let's be honest. Gustavo's innocent and he's got some issues, as was Eli, but they were both assholes. Let's be fair.
I know you try to express your feelings, but holy shit, you should probably lock those down, dude.
Yeah, get your shit together. There, it's fine. But like,
I've been swearing a lot on these videos. I don't know what the hesitation is.
I am too. It's because somebody commented that we're swearing a lot more, so I was like,
I don't fucking care.
I don't care either. It's fine. But like I said, so he's been an asshole this entire season. So I didn't necessarily mind when like they kind of tossed him to the curb, but at the same time it was like, given that he's right outside, they did the same thing with Mr. Branson last season. They had him outside literally in front of a glass door in front of Brooke, and she refused to let him in, and it was a great misdirect. And I was like, good on you, show.
This is a good. And just the comment about, well, last year she was stabbed and shoved in a freezer. She'll be fine. Surgery should be nothing. Like, oh, Noah, you're trope savvy.
And I'm glad she lived.
Yeah.
I really come to like Brooke, and she is one of the most tragic figures in this show. And I'm really glad that they didn't make her evil either, because for a little bit, there were a few pieces in place that would have made her a really good candidate for Ghostface.
I'm actually glad that she's staying with Gustavo, the sheriff. I feel like that's going to be the most normal thing to be for her for a while.
Yeah, because her mom's still MIA.
And God
Jake's gone, her dad's gone.
God knows what sort of arrangement her dad's finances are in, or how she'll be taken care of.
Well, and not to mention, what a wonderful way to like humanize this very villainous character. Because it would have been so easy for them to paint him as just a bad guy, and he is. He did a lot of terrible things.
He's not a good human being.
He did a lot of terrible things to the people of this town. But they're awful garbage people anyway, and at the very least, he seemed to give a shit about his daughter.
He genuinely loves Brooke.
And I really liked kind of the way they did that. Like, she was like, I got up this morning and I started making myself juice because I wanted juice. And I realized he always made me juice. And it's just like, oh, gosh, you made me feel things. Not for him, but for you, because such a bummer.
And Mom is alive, but Mom is
You know,
In
to be
rehab,
fair,
something?
I'm not gonna rule her out as a suspect for future things going
Yes.
on.
She's alive.
Yeah. Well,
She is,
no, I mean,
sir, not appearing. Oh,
I
not
mean
ruling
Brooke.
Brooke out.
not really.
I'm just kind of taking a tally of poor Brooke.
Well,
It's
I'm sure her mom will come back now that her dad is out
Yeah.
of the picture. And we should, once we get to the end here, we'll talk about maybe some ideas for the 2-part Halloween special or the 2-hour Halloween special, whatever it is. But yeah, Brooke was something really.
It's a clip show.
I'd be so annoyed. Oh my god.
Oh my god, tell me about it.
But I love how far Brooke has come in this show, and I hope that, in the future, Noah can, find a nice girl that
Doesn't
won't
die.
expire early. And have maybe more people of color make it to the end, as opposed to just the sheriff and his
the
son.
sheriff and Gustavo did. Poor Zoe.
Poor Zoe. Poor Zoe, poor Riley, poor Jake. It's rough. It's rough being it's rough being a white person in this world too, because a lot of white people get killed. But man, in the world of horror, if you're a person of color, your chances for survival are extremely diminished. And it makes me very sad as a horror fan. I'm like, oh, if I were in a horror movie, I would not last long.
She's better at horror movies, but I'm more likely to survive.
How unfair is that?
Extremely.
I have some issues. Who can I raise a grievance with? Anyone? Anyway, is there anything else about this 2-parter we should talk about? I mean, apart from...
I feel like there was something, my brain is just not there. Just like Audrey getting kidnapped and putting the real actual footage of people dying from both seasons. And I'm just
in the theater.
How many of these did you record? Because I just keep thinking of that episode of Red vs. Blue. Where did you get that footage?
Have you been spying on us the whole time? Yeah, I have been. But yeah, and that's another thing too, is Audrey and Emma's relationship seems to be repaired. And not gonna lie, maybe it's just because we get really jokey, I guess, when we watch anything. But when it was revealed that Kieran was the bad guy and that, he was carted away to jail with really very few questions from the police. They did not take away the 2 girls that they were searching for. Instead, they took away the guy that probably called them.
Well, but I think the sheriff understood
Yeah.
that after his conversation with Daisy, just the comment about, they've tied my hands, I have to go after this, but she's the best lead we have.
Yeah.
So he knows that it's not them, because as Noah pointed out, there's too much evidence.
Exactly.
It's
too obvious.
So I think he knows, and I think showing up and seeing the situation, he was much more willing to go with what they were saying.
Exactly. What was my point? Shoot.
Not a lot of questioning.
Not a lot of questioning from the police. They show up. Shoot, I completely lost my train of thought. Audrey. Yeah, we get very jokey when he got carted away. I kind of sat there and went, kiss.
I missed that.
I might have just said it to myself.
You said it to yourself. I definitely missed that. I was just sitting there going.
Or I might have said something along the lines under my breath of, now they can get together.
I didn't hear that at all. Damn,
I'm pretty sure it was kiss.
Shit goggles. I was just sitting there going, oh, well, if you shoot me this and if you shoot me that. And I'm like, Emma, just shoot his fucking knee out.
I know, right?
He can't go anywhere.
But remember,
threat.
that would have added to even more to Lang's narrative of, she is violent outbursts and she's a monster or whatever. I agree with you, though. No, take out that guy's kneecaps because he's gonna kill you.
I just keep thinking the line from Firefly. It's like, what happened to thou shalt not kill? No, the good Lord didn't have anything to say about kneecaps. I'm like, see, no, that is a very good pragmatic way to look at it, because this is a person that has been chasing you down and has had all the power. If you remove his mobility, it's not fatal. It sucks, but it can definitely be repaired.
Oh no, yeah, you're doing.
And prison has really good medical and dental plans. Which is really, really sad.
It's the Terminator 2 argument. What are you doing? He'll live.
Because that's the thing. If threat as long as he's there. If you shoot out a kneecap, he's far
and
less
again,
of a threat.
This is the very first time that we've seen a Ghostface survive in unmasking. In terms of like, because all the movies, everything is
you unmask and you have like 10 minute stops.
Exactly.
Maybe 20.
Once you start chewing the scenery, it is a countdown, man.
I think the person who's lasted the longest after the unmasking is Scream 4.
Oh yeah, because she actually made it to the hospital.
She did, and there was all that stuff in the hospital. I think she had like another 30 minutes. Which was crazy.
Michael fucking Myers.
This should have ended at the house.
It was supposed to end at the house. But yeah, and even she didn't make it out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Which, plot twist for Scream Queens, how great would it be if that whole hospital arc is just her in the hospital in like a coma.
Two very different franchises
come together. It would like a weird coma fever dream would explain the outlandish nature of that show, though. I love Scream Queens, don't get me wrong, but it can get out there.
It's very much a, God, what's his name? The Glee guy. Ryan Murphy. It's very much a Ryan Murphy.
Hyper reality.
Weird, semi-reality, AU, crazy
whatever.
shit.
But anyway, back to this show. Kieran's still alive, and we've never had a Ghostface survive after being revealed and unmasked and actually get carted off to jail. They always die. It's always like the end of Scream last season.
Permanently removing the threat.
Exactly. Double tap, not in my
This also
movie.
means that Kieran went and dug up Piper's body and eviscerated her and put a pig heart in her.
Ew.
See, now the more I think about it,
ex-girlfriend is shuffled off this mortal coil girlfriend. Like, it's really weird that he would desecrate her like that, especially because at the end of this, it's very clear how highly he thought of her, but at the same time...
So that might have been the other Ghostface. That brings up the idea of, okay, so there's this party. Did the other Ghostface just do the thing?
I still think it was just him, because even though we look at it as desecrating her corpse, which it absolutely was,
pretty fucked up.
He was doing it to torture Audrey and Emma and Daisy. He was doing it to torture all of them because, they're the ones that took her away from him. And, in his world, there's not really anything he can do to her that will hurt her any more than what they've already done.
That's true.
In his warped, way of looking at the world. Which kind of brings up the question, at what point did Piper swoop in and start manipulating him and seducing him? Because the stuff about his parents, again, Eli, you brought it up, a lot of Eli's answers will die with him, because Kieran's story was that his stepdad and his mom died in a car accident because they got into an argument. What if he purposely caused the accident?
But his big issue his big issue wasn't with them, though. His big issue was with his dad. And so I think we can assume that, he carries guilt over his mom and his stepdad dying, and then he winds up with his dad, and he's angry at his dad, didn't like him for X, Y, and Z reasons, and plotted his dad's death, which is just messed up. So I feel like that happened at that point, sometime after he came to...
It could be that he actively, caused the accident on purpose, or it could be it was an accident, and in this very vulnerable state, that's when Piper swooped in, seduced him, and kind of pulled him into this ploy that she was developing.
I think it might have been after Piper came to Lakewood, though, because if he was there, she had conversations with a ton of people.
It's hard to say. Well, no, it sounds like he had been with her since
for a good chunk of time.
Since before Piper ever came to Lakewood. And again, when he got to Lakewood, he immediately set his sights on Emma, which, again, I would love to watch both seasons from beginning to end knowing and being able to like pick out who's doing what at what time.
I don't have the time for that.
I don't either. No, there are way too many things going on this fall, but it would be great. Maybe before, like I don't even think we'll have time to do it before the Halloween special. But yeah, maybe before season 3
is the thing.
I hope. Well, you know what? It might be enough that they wrap everything up in a Halloween special. And how great would it be if in the Halloween special we get real answers about Brandon James? That would be fantastic.
I feel like they're not going to have enough time in 100 and God knows how many minutes.
Probably not.
100 minutes, probably.
It'd be nice. So do we want to go ahead and let's just talk really quickly about what we think could happen in the Halloween special, unless there's anything else you want to talk about in this episode. Or these 2 episodes, because they're so good.
I don't even know. Just the 3 months later that it took 3 months for the other person to call Kieran and be like, who told you could wear my mask? Like,
I'm so happy that they did that. Oh, it's so good.
Dang, what a good way to end a season.
What a great way to end a season. And again, it could be anyone. It could actually be Brian James. It could be someone from the past. It could be somebody Eli was in contact with. It could be anybody. And I want to say, I would hope that this Halloween special takes place around Halloween time. And
more of a time skip.
And we had Lakewood's centennial. I would love for all of this stuff that's happening in the Halloween special to take place during the anniversary of all the stuff that went on with Brandon James.
Yes.
Like, is that messed up to kind of hope for?
Yes, let's do it.
Because again,
it's always anniversaries in that bullshit.
Yeah.
Always anniversaries.
And it would be a wonderful way to tie up all of the loose threads that are kind of left hanging from the Brandon James stuff. We still don't know who that guy was in the photo. All of that stuff that the sheriff and Daisy were talking about, all of that is still a big old question mark.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I would love another Halloween dance, but I think the town's probably partied out.
Done with that noise.
I think they're partied out.
I don't have predictions. I don't think I'll really have anything to say about it until we see a preview, if we see a preview.
I'm sure if there is a preview, we will do a Silver Screams Reacts to it.
Of course.
Because I am just, maybe it's just because we watched it just a little bit ago, but I'm so jazzed at this ending. It was so good.
This is always just one of those series where it's like you do the first couple episodes, okay, and then it builds and it builds. By the time you hit the end, it's like,
you're like, what? Where's my next season? And like I said, here we were thinking that they weren't going to have enough plot. Based on the first couple episodes, we're like, there's no way they have enough plot for a season 2. This is ridiculous.
And then it's like,
and now I care so much, and I'm so bad at solving mysteries.
But again, they were so good at misdirects for this one. How could you ever have known?
Now I'm not going to trust anybody that seems overtly suspicious. I'm going to be like, they're a red herring, and then they're going to pull a Billy Loomis, and then it's going to turn out to be them, and I'm going to be like, dang it.
Fuck everything.
Dang it. Gotcha.
No, but
darn
Billy
it.
Loomis isn't terribly suspicious until you watch the movie again and go.
And then you're like, oh yeah, they were telegraphing that the whole gosh darn time, but they were telegraphing it subtly or ambiguously enough that you're still like,
again, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, it's surface, whatever, the first time you're watching the movie, and when you know, it's like, oh my god, that's
reframes
horrifying.
Everything. It's all just one big movie. One big movie. Alright, well, I think that just about does it for the night. Sorry, we rambled for a good long while.
It's almost like we were recapping 2 episodes and a season finale.
Oh, Lord, it was so good. Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
I am on Twitter and YouTube at Kiaxet, that is Kiaxet. All of our reactions to non-horror stuff live on that YouTube channel.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. If you're a fan of horror stuff, I mean, we're going to be doing Z Nation on AfterBuzz TV coming up pretty soon. Ash vs. Evil Dead is also coming back for AfterBuzz as well. So tune in to AfterBuzz TV for those things. We want to know, what did you guys think of the season finale? Did you guess correctly in terms of who the villain was?
And if you did, you better damn well have proof.
Yes.
Because I will have a real
honest.
hard time believing you otherwise.
Be honest, guys. Be cool about this. And what do you want to see in the Halloween special? Because I have so many things I would like to see.
What horror movie would you like to see become a series, and how? Because we have elements of the Scream franchise, but it's obviously not just straight up Scream!
Again,
The series!
cherry picked, and very smartly so.
Yes.
So yes, it'd be nice to hear what other series would make good horror TV shows without them like just having absolutely nothing to do with said TV. I'm looking at you, Friday the 13th, the series. You had nothing to do with Crystal Lake. I'm just saying.
Well, this has nothing to do with Sydney and Company. It's just
No, it
similar
doesn't.
elements.
But like
the
Friday
idea
the 13th,
of a ghost face killer, potentially multiple.
I think we talked about this actually at the beginning of this season about different horror series. But like the Friday the 13th series was an anthology series that literally had nothing to do with anything.
Well, then what's the point?
I don't know.
It's like World War Z, just sharing the title and that's it.
Oh,
It was the only thing in the Venn diagram overlap between the movie and the book.
you
Is
could
the
have had
title.
The Adventures of Tomas one day. None of you will get that. That's an inside joke.
Actually, I put it on Tumblr a while ago. When
Okay,
we were
go
watching
search
it,
Katie's
it was
Tumblr.
a while ago.
But
Long
anyway,
last time.
thank you guys so much for watching. Scream Queens is coming back, so we'll be doing vlogs for that coming up pretty soon.
Hopefully staying on something of a schedule.
Hopefully.
We're not moving again in the next few months.
But we are getting
So-
buried under a torrent of other AfterBuzz shows, so bear with us if we end up falling behind again. And again, thank you to everybody who did not spoil us.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah,
I can't go an hour without getting spoilers for some of my shows on AfterBuzz, so you guys are fantastic.
So, cannot say thank you enough. We'll see you guys at Halloween. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next time.